Recording on Wednesday, October 23rd, 2024, 10:04 a.m. Eastern Time with Mr. Adam Hardage. He's been on here once before, and we went down the inevitable rabbit hole of it all comes back to there's really new nothing. It's like sequels or reboots. There's really nothing new under the sun. It's just demons and angels fighting, and it's dressed up in more and more unique ways. And instead of gold statues of goats that people worship. Now it's like F-22s and skyscraper, but it's still the same shit. It's wizards and incantations, or it's like DARPA and intelligence agencies. It really, in a way, it's almost cheap. It's just like the same shit as last time. But that's kind of like the rabbit hole we went down last time. And yeah, I'm happy to have you back on here. Mr. Hart, can you please introduce yourself while I post around the live link like an idiot
Yeah, sure. Good to see you, Tommy.
as well?
Um, so Adam Hardage, former intelligence officer, former military officer, been around and done a few wars post 9/11, Iraq, Afghanistan, West Africa. I've been in a bunch of countries. Um, but seen quite a few things, and I've become very concerned about future of our republic, the American Republic, and we're here to talk about that, the current state of affairs, and where we are going from here.
What do you think? I mean, so just, I mean, most glaringly obvious is the elections in 2 weeks, and they shot Trump once, and in two separate times now they've arrested guys with guns near Trump.
Yeah,
Is it kind of what are they going to keep trying to take a bite out of the apple? Because this Friday he's going on Rogan, which
yeah,
I imagine they're who the opposition is not entirely. I would imagine it's going to be something similar to when he went on Twitter with Elon Musk. It's probably going to be like a massive DDoS attack that
yeah.
mysteriously originates from like McLean, Virginia, or some shit. What do you see happening in the next 14 days?
I think the pressure will continue like this. I think if they have a chance, they'll take another shot at him. I think that Trump's security is probably pretty dialed in at this point. I'm not privy to that. I know some people involved with the broader apparatus, but I don't have any insight into that. But I would imagine that they are as buttoned up as a submarine in the Cold War in Russian waters.
Yeah.
So I don't see them being able to successfully take out the president would be elect. I do believe that there are continual efforts always ongoing, and this is a straight up spiritual battle of good versus evil. And the enemy, frankly, knows that they're cornered. They know that the jig is up, and that the lies and everything, the gaslighting and all the woke nonsense and everything that we've been putting up with for the past, really 8 years. They know, uh, you know, that's coming to an end. And unfortunately, these people will not give up the fight when you put them in a corner. So expect that as they get driven further and further into that corner, they're going to fight like crazy. And I personally am of the mindset that this thing doesn't come to a peaceful resolution without shots fired from one side or the other. I'm not sure how that's going to go or whatever else, but in the short term, I would predict dramatic instability in the U.S. That's
Just yeah.
take.
No, I mean it's better to be honest, and no matter
Yeah, I
how.
mean, I don't think I'm alone in
No.
that, because so let's say November 5th comes and everything is squeaky clean, right? Which, I mean, we already know it's not going to be, because I mean they're already reporting like, oh, voting machines in Michigan, this, Georgia, that, Nevada and Arizona voters, talking about they've got 500,000 additional people on the voter roll in Michigan that are even, eligible to vote. I mean,
Yeah.
it's there's just so much nonsense. They're going to do all the same playbook as they did last time, plus more. And they're so bold about it now because they've got the top cover of the media. They got big tech, other than Elon. They have big tech. They got the media. They've got all the corporatocracy. They've got the medical industrial complex. They've got big pharma. So they can control all of the organs of state, but they're starting to freak out. I mean, even Hillary Clinton's own words, just last week were like, if we lose this, we lose control. We lose control. And so it's a fundamental thing that
Yeah.
the libs are always trying to control what everybody else does. And your true conservatives, are very much the live and let live people.
Yeah.
Uh, and I think there's just a, I think there's a fundamental rot internal to the US from an objective morality standpoint. And I don't think America recovers in a stable and peaceful way without addressing that root issue, which is, are we a society that values objective morality, the Constitution, and the rule of law, or are we a society that is, morally subjective, flim flam, God isn't really there kind of thing? Maybe, we can all just go after our human fleshly desires, our temporary worldly desires, get the pay raise, get the better job, find a better looking woman, than the one you have, you know what I mean? Like all these earthly nonsensical things that are very temporary and very temporal. And all of that goes away, when someone takes their last breath. I think people forget about that a lot, and I think there's a lot of pride and arrogance across American society and the West as a whole these days. I think Americans and Western values have begun to idolize human and flesh. They have stopped following the Lord God, and uh, I don't think that historically goes super well for the society that does that. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm just old school, but I'm reading some Old Testament stuff, and I think there was some pretty big beatdown, smackdown stuff that happened. When you're talking about people killing, thousands of men with a single jawbone of a donkey, or
Yeah.
smoting 200,000 people with literally the swipe of a hand. I think I think America would be wise to humble itself and get right with God. So that's where I think we are.
Yeah. No, and I mean, and I objectively agree with you. I mean, as someone that like literally prays every day, but a huge part of it was is I grew up going to private Catholic school, very Catholic family, extended family, grandparents, and that I think pretty predictably drove me away from it. By the time I was like 50, she became like the edgy Redditor, like like yeah, I'm an atheist, and I went down that route for like 15 years, and eventually came back to Christ, but it had to be through free will. So although I agree with you that it is, we have slid away from that, I also think that is the very importance of free will. If God wanted marionettes, you'd have marionettes. But
No, I totally agree with you. I'm not
the
I'm not advocating for the position that people be forced to do
sure,
anything or believe anything.
sure,
In fact, in my own walk, I totally agree with you. I was raised in a very conservative, faith-based household. I went to a Catholic school for 8 years. Not Catholic, but I mean, I went to
yeah.
Methodist, Presbyterian, Catholic. My wife's family is Mormon. I've gone to a Mormon church for a couple of years. I mean, I've been non-denominational.
Conservative
I mean, all over
Christianity
the
at
place.
large. Yeah, yeah,
But for me, my faith walk really took a turn when I received a calling just a little over 3 years ago. And that calling was very clear to me. In fact, that's what I'm still doing today. I run a company called Remote Health Solutions. Um, our company's been around for 7 years, but when COVID started, we really pivoted into becoming that voice for medical freedom. And then about a year after COVID was there, and they started firing hospital workers for refusing the medical mandate. We stood up a platform for all those hospital workers who had lost their job to start being able to see patients and continue to generate some revenue for themselves, all while it was a free service to them. Uh, but where I was going with that is that in the reason that we stood that up was because I received a very clear message on the night of October 7th, 2014. I'm sorry, 2021, October 7th, 2021. And the message was, go build Noah's Ark for medicine. And I didn't really know what that really would look like or what it meant, but I just knew that it was very clear,
Hmm.
and it was not something that came from me. It was something that was, I guess, transmitted or transmuted into me, and it was a very clear calling to me, and so that set me on the path. And I'll tell you, that I believe in that calling so much that, a little more than 3 years later, while we have gone through absolute hell for the last 3 years, fighting everybody from the Air Force to the Army to the FDA to the NIH to the IRS. I mean, just on and on and on, just endless regulators trying to come after us, all for protecting the American people. So, we have companies that are out there that are trying to protect Americans and are trying to provide valuable services and things that are honest and ethical. And then we have the 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 levers, the organs of government, if you will, trying to crush those efforts. So, I mean, if people don't understand that the COVID lockdown was not about individual safety. It was not about any of that. The only purpose of the lockdowns, people need to understand this, was to destroy Main Street,
Hmm.
to destroy all of the small businesses and funnel everybody
Hmm.
to the FANGs, to the Facebook, the Apple, the Amazon, the Netflix, the Walmart, so they wanted people to shop and have the choice to go to Walmart, to Target, to a major store that they can control, which is a global corporatocracy, whatever that would be. And if it doesn't exist in that, then they want it shut down. And this is their own words too. So I
Hmm.
mean, you can listen to Hillary talking about this. You can listen to anybody who's on that side talking about it, because the objective is total control of the human population. They do not want freedom. They do not want individual choice. So if they can get rid of cash and they can force you to shop at Amazon, Walmart, or Target, then they can monitor your purchases. They can know everything that's coming in and out of your bank account, which is most people don't understand, but that's already a thing, where government can see every single transaction in or out that you have, warrant or no warrant. So we do not live in the world that we are sold, by our politicians and the other lying, sort of leaders of the world. We do not live in a society which values freedom, individual choice, individual liberty, the pursuit of happiness, the constitutional founding principles. We just don't live in that society anymore. I personally won't let that stand. So, and while I still have breath in my lungs, I will fight that every single day. It is literally my life's mission. I served for more than 20 years. I've fought in multiple wars. I know exactly who I am at this point. I am a man of God, and I am a courageous warrior, and I will fight like many other brothers and sisters in Christ to the end. So that is, I want the enemy to know that the line in the sand was crossed a long time ago. And while vengeance is the Lord's, uh, I am a tool and a resource for, justice, we shall say.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, I get what you're saying. It's not forcing the belief on people, but rather, yeah, it's like saying, you got to lose 100 pounds and stop smoking, or you're gonna die. It's not forcing anyone to say it, but historically, people that don't do that, at age 70, you're
When
probably
is
not gonna be,
change when is change made?
yeah.
Change is always made at the final moment, at the 11th hour, at the moment where, you know, um, all hope is lost, or you're on your deathbed, or you've had whatever it is, you're on the floor of your bathroom, because you've overdosed on drugs or alcohol or something like that. And, you are staring down the barrel of, your future, which is either death or recovery. And I'll tell you, I personally have experienced that as well. I've been there.
Mhm.
I've been on that floor, and I know the
Yeah.
pain and stuff that comes from from that when you have your demons. And so this is not a lecture to people about, don't be sinful and don't, you have to be perfect and you need to be a Jesus person and this and that. It's not at all like that. What I'm saying is people need to look in their own lives and honestly assess, do their actions provide the results that they themselves seek in their own life? And if the answer is no, then they should do some significant soul searching and look and say, well, maybe I am approaching these problems incorrectly, or maybe my fundamental belief system is wrong, or maybe I've been manipulated and lied to, whether it's through music or through the news or through whatever. Maybe I should stop and think critically for myself. Unfortunately, I think most people in general are not capable mentally or psychologically of independent thought and taking bold, aggressive, decisive action to better themselves, their lives, and their own family. I think most people and most men these days just live lives of quiet desperation, like I
Hmm.
said. And I think they've been beat down so hard. And especially, when you have the male society, especially the white conservative male society, who has been castigated for decades and told that they're, anytime we're portrayed in a movie or TV show, we're buffoons, we're incompetent, we're, like just acting like fools because that's
Homer
all a white guy
Simpson.
is good
Yeah.
for. I mean, never mind the hyper competency that built this world. Never mind,
Yes.
uh, never mind. You know, do you enjoy air travel? Do you enjoy rail travel? Do you enjoy the automobile?
Ships
Do
of
you,
the line, fucking medieval cathedrals. It's writing. It's but
uh,
instead, no, you're right. It's for Homer Simpson. Oh,
yeah,
I know where I'm going.
and that's not accurate because I'll tell you, men are warriors. They may not know it, but there's a warrior inside every man. And every man wants three things. And I challenge anybody to prove me wrong on this. Every single man living on this planet, deep down, wants three things. One, they want a battle to fight, whether that is a corporate battle, a personal battle, an actual, guns and fists and fighting or, getting in the cage and an MMA thing. But whether it's in the boardroom or in the cage or on the battlefield, men want to fight. That's the first thing. They want a battle to win. The second thing is they want a beauty to love. Um, every man wants a beauty to love. And then the third thing, every man wants his life to be an adventure, whatever that adventure means to him. And it could be writing a book, writing a sonnet. It could be fighting a war. It could be doing all those things. It could be, going to France and learning French cuisine, cooking. I mean, whatever your adventure is, every man wants those three things: a battle, a beauty, and an adventure. So um, I would submit that the men, especially the conservative men of this country, should find hope in that they have held on to their own masculinity. And the time has come now for those men to rise up and to take this country back. And I'm not talking about pitchforks and, burning everything down. I'm talking about rise up, men, and take back what is ours. We can do that through not not the political system right now. The political system's completely broken, but we can certainly do it through shifting mental shifting the mental mindset of America. And the way that that is done is we have to have strong male leadership, providing male leadership to both society and to families. Without the father in the family, we've got very little chance. So I'm going to be a strong advocate of the father and the family. I mean, do you know that 98% of youth who are incarcerated, 98% come from a household with no father?
Jeez.
98%
I didn't know it was that high.
of
That's
incarcerated youth have no father in the house. So let me ask you, if we change that one thing, do you think that that would have a knock-on effect in one generation as to how society, how America, what the character of America is. Because right now, what I'm seeing these idiot, 18-year-old kids running around the streets of Chicago or New York and sucker punching old people and live streaming like just completely soul corrupting content, both for them and for the society that they're in. And I look at this and I think to myself, what is wrong with this young man that he wants to sucker punch an 85-year-old woman who is minding her own business going home? And it's those kind of things that I look at and I say, well, that is moral decay and rot. And when you see something like that, those kinds of behaviors will ultimately lead to violence against the individual committing those. I will tell you, as somebody who has been in 4 wars, when it's go time, the discussions are over and people just get laid waste. Um, and I think for the youth that is out there in the US that is acting like crazy fools, I think that they're going to have a very painful come to Jesus sort of time. Um, I, we're in a dark place. I'm actually in the middle of writing an article right now, and the title I have is this America's Barabbas moment? And, and you think back to biblical times and, the Good Friday, as it were. I hate that term, Good Friday. And I know that everybody says Good Friday because Sunday, blah, 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 whatever. No, I don't think it was a good day. In fact, if I was one getting flogged and beaten and nailed on a cross, I don't think I would consider that a good day. But granted, the goodness is that the human race was saved by, the sacrifice of the perfect lamb. I get all that. Anyway, so we go back to Good Friday. And what does the crowd do? So Pontius Pilate's up there. He's like, hey, I don't see any fault with this guy, Jesus. He's a good guy. Like he's, I don't see that he's done anything wrong. He's certainly never hurt anybody. He's preaching good stuff. Why do you guys want to kill him? You got this other dude right here, Barabbas. He's a murderer. I don't know what else he was. Maybe he was a rapist. Maybe he was whatever. He was a bad dude. And the Jews and the Gentiles said collectively, hey, you know what? We want that criminal. We want you to release the criminal back into our society, and he can kill and rape everybody he wants, because we think that is okay. Also, we're going to continue to sacrifice our babies on the altar to Baal, and all that's going to be fine. So let's go ahead and kill what is good, and let's elevate what is bad. So I believe that we're kind of in that same position as an American society. And I choose to not be on the side of Barabbas. I'm definitely on the Jesus train. I personally think that we're probably not too far off from some biblical times. It will be real serious in nature. So some might even refer to those as end times or apocalyptic times. And I don't think that I'm the only one who says that something is happening. I think everyone who is alive can feel it. You may feel something different, but everyone knows something is happening that is beyond our ability to see, hear, smell, taste, or touch. I
Yeah,
will leave it to your audience to decide what that is.
there's it's a buzzing. You're like, it's not the air conditioner, it's not the dryer.
Mhm.
Like, well, do you hear that? It's like, yeah, I hear that. It's not quite piercing yet, but it's there. And you're like, I don't know what that is. It's not the fire alarm. Never heard that before, but
In
it's there.
here, it's
Yeah.
down in here.
Yeah.
Feel it
If you
in
feel something in
here.
your gut,
It comes up and it's in your mind.
it's
And
yeah,
everybody knows. And so
yeah.
I don't care what you as an individual do or don't do. My job is to shepherd and guide my soul and my children and
Good.
my wife, and to be the man of the house and to provide for my family and my nucleus, just as your job is the same and every other man's job is the same. So To the men who are out there that feel like they've been kicked around and knocked down and whatever else, I say, you know what? Just remember who you are. You are the man, literally. There's
Mm,
one man in a house. And if there are two men, then one of y'all better get kicked out. And I'm not
mm,
talking about two men in the homosexual sense. I'm talking about two men like vying for control of one household.
mm. Yeah.
Father and household, family nucleus, those are the things that must be protected, or else you do not have a society.
Mm,
And we talk about women in combat, women in the military, all this other stuff. And I think that's fine. You can have women in combat, you can have women in the military. I do believe that it causes big problems with regard to mission effectiveness and um, basically the successful execution of objectives, as we'll call them. And the reason for that is because when I say man, men, our inherent inability to not be the protector, to not be the hero in the story, if you will. So when we see a woman in pain or being exposed to danger, we want to take action to assist, to help, to prevent. When maybe that's not the right move for the mission, for the objective. So, as far as women go, I believe that women are our cherished um, angels in society. I believe that they are given amazing gifts and an incredible ability to bring life into the world that no one else has. No man can bring life into this world. Only a woman can. And for us as a society to then claim that we cannot identify what a woman is it's not just wrong and hurtful and um, morally bankrupt. It's also just fundamentally unserious, as we are as a society these days. I mean, you can't have a serious discussion with me if you're going to argue that up is down and down is up.
yeah. It's you can't. I mean, I took organic chemistry in college. I loved organic chemistry, but it's like, the weed out class for pre-med students, and it's hell. And I remember my buddy was a year ahead of me, and I asked him, I was like, "Do you have any advice for OChem, like the dragon slaying class?" And he goes, "Carbon makes four bonds except when it doesn't." And I was like, "Thanks, asshole." But like, but that is it. And if you start going, "Nope, carbon can only make three bonds, not more, not less," you're gonna go, and they're like, "Hey, let's agree to disagree and just move on to OChem." You'd be like, "No, we can't. You're you're wrong before we open the book. One plus one is two. It's not th
Mm,
no. Yeah, let's just move on. We'll take. Well, maybe we'll meet up again in calculus. You're like, no, one
no,
plus one is two. You can't. You truly can't. Nothing. The building cannot stand on the foundation. It doesn't work.
right.
Hey, yeah, no. I made the wheel square, but I feel this is a wheel. You're like, that's not a. It's not going to drive. We're not.
You
We
can
can't.
feel that all you
You
want.
can feel it
That's
all you want.
fine.
We can't
Yeah.
agree to disagree and move on to what color should the upholstery be. You're like, this is a square wheel. It's not gonna fucking work. And
Yeah.
so at that core, if men can get periods and women can get boners, it doesn't you cannot go down the road with that person. It's the Voltaire quote, those who can convince you of absurdities can make you commit atrocities.
Yeah.
Because if up is down and
Well,
down is up, well then hey, this isn't genocide.
that
We're
is
just getting
why,
we're just getting rid of the
yes,
Republicans.
yes.
It's cleansing.
So what you just said is 100% accurate as it relates to the why behind these things.
Yes.
As so, I don't care if there are no differences between men and women. Let's just say that I can decide one day I'm a woman, so I take my detach, put it on the shelf, and I grab my vagina, and now I'm a woman. So okay, so be it. I'm ovulating today. I'm having a baby tomorrow. Whatever.
Sure.
Um, you know, when we're at that place as a society, and by the way, can you still hear me? Because it looks like we got cut
Yeah,
out.
yeah, no, your
Good.
your image is
Okay.
freezing, but I hear your audio just fine. Keep going.
Okay. Gotcha. All right. So, um, yeah, and when you say, okay, I'm a man today, I'm a woman tomorrow. Okay, well, let's find out if that's fundamentally objectively true. So can I get pregnant? No, I can't. I identify as such. Okay, it doesn't matter. You still can't get pregnant. You still don't have ovaries. You still don't have a uterus. You, I can't get a hysterectomy because I don't have the parts to get a hysterectomy for. So it's again, if you can't deal in reality, basic fundamental reality, then I can't help you and I can't have a conversation with you because you're saying that up is down when down is up and backwards, vice versa. So I there we are. I think we have to fix those fundamental problems before we as a society can move on. And the whole reason that they confuse everything like that is so that they can finish what they've started, which is a color revolution, a total and complete communist takeover. It is turning the society into basically um, anesthetized, neutered, humans that follow like drones and are under complete control and have been detached from their creator and from each other. So you take away, you put it's funny because like the women's liberation movement, it, you can really spin a women's lib defender's head when you just explain it. The brilliance of the women's liberation movement was that the Rockefellers and the rest of the founding families were able to tax twice the amount of people as they were before. Because I mean, there's a
No,
fundamental
it's
piece that says,
genius.
well, wait a sec. We got all these families. We got dad is able to provide for mom on a middle class salary. Provide for the kids. They're living in the agrarian lifestyle. Dad may have they got a home. Maybe they're in suburbia. Maybe they got a couple chickens. Whatever. But how about this? How about we'll destroy the nucleus of the family? We'll talk about women's liberation and how women don't need to be repressed by their man anymore. And now they don't need a man to tell them anything. So now we're going to get women in the workplace. And what does that do? Now we're going to complain and moan and whine. We got to get women more money. Women still have to pay taxes now. You've got all these programs and everybody's focused on anything but fundamental, like good and bad things. Like, so does a woman really want to spend 30 years in a factory or 30 years proving that she is capable of doing everything a man can do? I would say, why? Just why? My wife and I, for example, have a wonderful relationship where we have very complementary things that both of us do, and we work awesome as a team. And there's not a lot of differentiator between like, oh, I'm a man. This is my job, other than trash.
Yeah.
Boys have to take out the trash. That's a fundamental rule that I have in my house. So boys take out trash. Girls are too precious for that. So
Yeah, no,
other than
no.
that,
But there's also like no, it's like men and women are fundamentally different, and like there is not only is there nothing wrong with it, it's actually beautiful. But let's say you don't even want to go the whole it's beautiful, right? There's nothing wrong with it. We're just
right.
we're just different. You're what you're a veteran, you got a former intelligence background. All right. I'm 34, I'm not, and I do a podcast. That's okay. It's like, well, how dare you say I'm different than Adam? We definitively are. And there
Yeah.
is no, I don't want your life, you don't want my life, and it's no disrespect. It's just like, no, I'm
Do
doing my
we do
thing.
we want do we want to be exactly this? I don't.
No,
I
I'm
want to
doing my
be. I
thing.
want to.
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
doing your thing. It's there's some
I'm a
weird
unique and beautiful snowflake.
you are, damn it. And it's like there's this idea that because we're different, it that's bad. And it's not at all.
Yeah.
And it's it's there is just it's like when you always hear that like kind of like weird like by accident racism when
Mhm.
it's like you know this character is what it's like when they say like if you make an ID required black people won't be able to vote, and it's like why is that, and it's like well they can't get IDs, and you're like
That is the most fundamentally racist and
insane
I'm sorry, it
racist.
is it is just it is
It
retarded.
is it
There's no other word
it's
than that is
retarded.
a retarded statement.
It is it's legit. Not even like the whole "you disagree with me, therefore you're a Nazi." You're like, that's
That
definitively
that is
racist.
legitimately racist. That like you're telling me that the same people that have to provide an ID to buy alcohol, to get into a nightclub, to whatever,
To function in modern society.
to do anything, to open a bank account, to start a business, to get a job. You can't get a job and be on a W-2 type payroll and have medical benefits or anything else like that without identification. You just can't. It is a fundamental building block of our modern society. And you know, when people try and act like, oh, it is, oh, it's so
You
cringy and awful.
you can't get paid through Spotify and or Rumble without providing identification.
You
So
know,
I
you can't post an ad on Facebook without being
So
verified.
that's why it's fundamentally racist. So blacks can't start podcasts. That's the whole thing
That's right.
about it. That's why I'm against it because they don't have an idea. They don't understand
Yeah.
the idea, and you're like,
Yeah.
dude, that is so a batshit insane racist. That
Yeah.
is like it is. But my point is
I
like
love the
so
one when they were like, I love the one when they were like, oh, but black people don't know how to use a computer. I'm like,
yeah, like, to get an idea, they have to go to the DMV. They're like, well, they have trouble finding it, and you're like,
but but
do you understand how like insane that is? What you're saying? That is
no,
so
not only that, here's my question. Where is the black outrage against that? So there's
censored.
that question, but then here's another question I have. Where is the female outrage about what is a woman? Where is the female outrage about, you know, dicks in chick sports? Where's the collective feminine outrage against
There,
all this?
what?
Especially where's our feminists? Where are the feminists telling us, hey, here's the difference between a man and a woman? You know?
It's not only that though. It's like imagine the places where you would say they're gonna have trouble doing that. Like I would if somebody was just like, "Hey Tom, I can't do the podcast today, but Adam's gonna do it." I would be like, I would be like, I don't know if he knows how to. Because I'd be
Yeah,
like, you got to log in and everything. This camera's
yeah,
kind of weird. You got to jiggle it a different way.
yeah.
Microphone, you got to copy the OBS stream.
Of
Like, if you
course.
didn't know how to do this, I would be like, it took me a while to figure it out. I would be like, do you know how to do that? And you'd be like, yeah,
Yeah, of
yeah, I'm not
course.
sure. Or like, you go up if the pilot's like, hey, you want to come up here and fly? Or if I was like, can I fly? The pilot would be like, hey man, I have like 9,000 flight hours. Do you even know what the throttle is? You'd be like, yeah, I don't know. It's coming from a place of like, hey, this is complex, and I don't know if you know it.
Yeah.
Imagine now saying that about like you can't provide an ID. You can't find your ID. It is that's not coming from the place of a 747 pilot where he's like, "Hey, this is legitimately like rocket science. Are you sure you got this?" That is
If
so demeaning and
if you
insulting to
have
someone's
a bank
IQ.
account, if you have a bank account or a credit card or a debit card, you have an ID.
It
Period.
it
Period.
but so in that you see the reason I brought up all of this is rooted in that is racism and superiority, right? It's the same thing with like this needs to be censored. Why?
Of
Because
course.
it's misinformation and it's telling people to do X, Y, and Z. And you go,
Mhm.
well, why is that bad? You go, well, it tricks them. And you then ask them, you go, were you tricked? I've said this to people like, were you tricked by my podcast? Did you listen to my podcast? And did I pull a fast one on you? Did you go and overdose on ivermectin? No, 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 no. I saw right through your bullshit. Okay. Can someone else, why can't other people? You're admitting that they're not smart enough. You saw through it, but no, no,
Yeah.
no, no, no. Like you told me there's a monster under the bed, and I'm like, dude, I'm 34 years old. But hey, I gotta go help these kids because they actually think there's a monster under the bed. It is a demeaning, paternal, I know what's best for you. That works in the OR if you have a brain surgeon, but not with something like this. So it comes from a place of the very fact that it's being said comes from a place of mental superiority. So when you say we are not different, it's because you are, by definition, the very tone in which you're saying and what you are saying is you're defining different as bad by saying we are not different because different is bad. No, it's not bad. It's perfectly complementary. But to say we are not different is implying that to be different from me means you are lesser than. means that you don't know how to do this. It
Mhm.
and that's what it's so it's again, it's empowering. No, it's not. It's you're taking a woman out of a household, throwing her in a job and be like, this is empowerment. You're now taxed and you're not going to work yourself to death like a
Yeah.
man.
Yeah. Not
There's
only that,
no
but if you want to have kids and you want to have a family, because a lot of women too, by the time they're, early 30s, really late 20s, start thinking about, wait, maybe maybe the last 10 years as a teacher or a counselor or a firefighter or whatever their career has been, maybe maybe that was great and fun, but maybe I want to have a kid. And maybe I want to start a family, and I found a man that I really like, and we want to get married and blah blah blah. Well, uh, okay, no, but you shouldn't quit your job because that's then supporting the patriarchy. Because we want you to then have kids, immediately put your baby into daycare and go back to work. And once that baby is in daycare, then the state can raise your baby. Then someone else can raise your baby. Then we can change the way that that baby is programmed from birth,
hmm
things that that baby knows and loves and values and everything else. And you as the parent, you don't need to be worried about that. The state is going to take care of that. You be the empowered, beautiful, strong woman that you are. You go out and you work that job. You pay those taxes. And then when you're done with your job, you got to stop by daycare, pick up your kid, take the kid home, make the kid dinner, study homework with them, get them washed up, put them down for bed, and get ready for a whole new day where you can drop your kid back off for 8 hours at daycare so you can go to your job and not see your kid to then only bring your kid home, feed them, make sure they get a bath, put them to bed, and then get ready to do it again. And that is what women are being sold as liberation. And if that's liberation, I don't want any part of that because you know what? I'll tell you what happens in my family, in my household. I go to work and I do whatever I need to do. I take the slings, I take the arrows, I take the shots for the family, and I take all that burden and I come home at the end of the day. And whether it was a terrible day or a good day or whatever else, that crap stops with me at the door. And then I take that burden. My wife is fresh because she's had time while the kids are at school to go play tennis, to go grocery shopping, to take care of some things, to clean up the kitchen, and to live her life as she wants. And so, as a family, we have a really, really well functioning
yeah.
uh, little group, and the kids are happy, the wife is happy, I'm happy. And I'm not saying people need to live like us. I'm just saying that the women who believe so strongly that they need to go down with the patriarchy and do it all on their own and be the strong independent woman and prove that they are just as tough as a man. I would just ask why.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, why? What
To what
fundamental thing
end?
are you missing individually? Like, why are you not confident in your own beauty, in your own power as a woman? And I'll tell you why. It's because society has told you since birth that you as a woman are not good enough the way that God made you. In order to be good enough, you need to be as strong as a man. You need to have the job. You need to say down with the patriarchy. You don't need I'm a toxic masculine white guy. Look at this. I got facial hair and stuff. Like I'm probably, I mean, I'm like Genghis Khan just in hiding. Like,
Just you're just
it's I mean, I wouldn't want anybody to have to put up with, you
just a
know,
predator.
a, a lover that wants to take care of their family and raise God-fearing Christian men and women, somebody that wants to empower the beauty of their life with the greatest adventure of their life and to build something beautiful and wonderful together. Boy, why wouldn't we want to trade that in to be corporate drones, to be corporate slaves, to spend 50 years trading our time for money? It's interesting. In the Bible, Jesus refers to Satan as the prince of this earth. He refers to him as the ruler of this earth, of the temporal, of the physical realm that we're in. And if you think about the elements that are included in the physical realm, that's time, space, and matter, right? So So if Satan has control of these things, the first one of that is time, right? So if Satan has control of time, and if resources, financial or otherwise, is matter, those are two areas of our lives every single day that are fundamentally in Satan's control. So, how much time you spend working and not listening to God's word, how much time you spend, distracted by whatever else, porn, or, you get wasted, or, you want to go on a bender for a week, or you got to go to, Vegas and whatever. The devil is constantly trying to shift our focus away from the foundational principles that make things good in life, and that is love, peace, the family core unit, harmony between a man and a woman, um, example for their children. I mean, these things are all fundamentally good.
Service.
These things are the way. So, I mean, people are like, "Oh, so you got it all figured out. You know the way." Yes, I do.
Oh, okay.
Yes, I do. I have it all figured out, and I know the way, and I know the answer. And I'm telling everyone with ears to hear that that is the answer. The answer is look deep in your own heart. Don't listen to society. Don't listen to the world. Don't listen to the media. Don't listen to Pfizer. Don't listen to, McDonald's or anybody else telling you what it is that you should be doing. Get right with yourself, get right with God, and get right with your core family. You empower those things and you focus on those things in a nucleus, life will take care of itself.
Let the rest of it just go by in the background.
That's right. And most things in life, somebody put this to me a good way. It was if it's not going to matter in 5 years, don't worry about it now.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I mean, because and as Jesus would say, worry about today.
For
Be
tomorrow
present
has its own
now
worries.
because tomorrow has its own problems.
Yeah.
Every day is. Do I have a thousand? Do I have a thousand bows pointed at me with arrows ready to go uh, around me in a circle from high positions? Yes, I do all the time. I am constantly faced with insurmountable challenges and enemies that want to destroy, whether it's me personally, our company, my voice, our family. Those things are very real, but I don't worry about those things. I put my trust in God. I give God my first light every morning. I try and walk in faith throughout the day. If I do feel worry or anxiety or fear or doubt, I stop, I pause, offer it up to God, let it go to God, and then I carry on through the day. And if the day gets to be too much and it's just really one of those days, it's just absolutely kicking me while I'm down, then I go to sleep
Hmm.
and I wait for the next morning and I get up and I start again. So it doesn't, people always underestimate how much they can do in a decade. And they always overestimate how much they can do in a year or in a day or in an hour. So I would just say that it's the slow, consistent walk and the incremental improvement and the focus always being on our spiritual base, the foundation, and our families. So that is all I can say to society. If you have those things intact, society will right itself as a
Yeah.
ship. Right now, we don't. We have a bunch of satanic pedophile communist, devil worshippers that are, I mean, the shirt Alex Jones was right is going to be a great iconic, uh, you know, um,
There'll be a marble
like
statue to him.
retro throwback thing in like 50 years when they're gonna
Yeah.
be like, oh, this dude Alex Jones, he was totally right all the time, man. And like these Americans, they were so dumb and they were putting atrazine in water to turn frogs gay. And Alex
Crooked
Jones
Fox
said it a long
gay.
time ago. And it's like, oh, these crazy conspiracy theorists. Okay?
Yeah. Yeah. The idea that, Alex Jones is spreading misinformation is going to be said in the same mocking tone that you look back at like 1950s and you're like, reefer madness. And it's like, yeah, I mean, I don't think pot's conducive to like a working day, but
One way, Jesus talks
Like,
about when in the end, you will know them by their actions, not by
yeah,
their words. You will know the false prophets and the false teachers from the true teachers and the true prophets. You will know them by their actions, not even by their words, because anybody can say just about it,
anything.
but it's what you do and what the results are that matter. So, I mean, I know that we've covered a lot of ground today, but I would say, to your audience, bring your focus super narrow. Focus on the family, focus on the core, the nucleus.
Yeah,
That's
and
what.
to yeah, to kind of wrap it up, I was gonna say one thing I always think about is like being little and being in my cousin's pool. Would be brothers and cousins and just rough housing, and sometimes you get underwater, your goggles would get ripped off, you're spun upside down, you're disoriented. And I'd always try to take like if I'd start freaking out, I'd stop and I'd put my hand like right over my like halfway up my face, and then I'd exhale. And if the bubbles hit my hand, I knew that way it was up. And if the bubbles don't hit my hand, I'm like I'm upside down. It's like don't panic, just so by that I kind of use that as like whoever you're reading or following or listening to, use your own sort of like bubble test to be like, where's this taking me? Well, this
Yeah,
is it's constantly leading me to hating myself and I always have to pay more money. That's not it.
yeah,
Following someone you're like, this guy's a little odd, a little outspoken, but it leads to me loving my family more and being more grateful for the blessings around me. Then follow that.
that seems like a good
Everything
thing.
else, words, nothing, designs, logos, intro music to a show, forget it all. Where does
Yeah,
it, which way do the bubbles go? If it,
yeah,
if you're just looking at it and you're like, I just hate myself when after I listen to them, it's like, don't do that.
that's a good analogy.
Yeah. And it's just like kind of follow the bubbles and it'll bring you back to God. And it's pretty simple when you do that. You go, that's it. And you're like, yeah, that's kind of it. That's the
Yeah,
whole thing. Yeah, that's kind of the answer to the universe. Huh?
yeah.
You're like, yeah. Yeah, it's pretty
They're
simple.
trying that, the universe is going to try and secular mankind is going to try and tell you that you're wrong, that you need this, you need that, you need. Um, I could save people a lot of pain and heartache and from hitting rock bottom if they would just heed that they don't need any of that stuff. The only thing they need is
Yeah. Yeah, it really is. It's like imagine right. It's like what does it take for you and I to sit down and do this show? Nothing. We both showed up, internet connection, we just talk. It's that
yeah,
simple. What would it take if you wanted to make a Netflix series about a podcast? We'd have makeup teams, lighting, and this is
yeah.
the way we want the conversation to
Scripting,
flow. And
producers,
this is and we got to
editors.
have we want to have moving angles, and as a podcaster you should have these things, and Adam, you should look more grizzled as a veteran versus like you and I are just doing this, and it's so simple because it's just what it is. Everything it takes to produce something, you have to have teams and funding and storyboards and focus groups. In that same way, it takes so much to try to deceive, and it really takes so little to just be truthful.
Yeah.
Just it's
The
that
test of a man's
really.
character is how much truth they can accept without turning away.
Mm, I like that.
And I can take unlimited amounts of truth. Um, I so I believe that I have built my character to a point where I am ready for any battle, any earthly battle that's ready to come my way. So, but on that note,
Yeah, we'll wrap it up. I
brother, I
kept you
got to go
longer.
fight my
Yeah,
next battle.
I kept you for 20 minutes longer than I said I would. So,
Sounds
dude,
good.
thank you so much. I look forward to the next one. It's always a pleasure talking to you, and
Yeah, absolutely.
follow the message, guys. Get good with God, and everything else will fall in line.
Yeah, and if any of your leaders or not leaders, if any of your listeners want to reach out, by all means, please do contact us at rhsusa.com. That's Remote Health Solutions USA, rhsusa.com.
All right,
So Adam Hardage is the name. Appreciate you having me on.
you're a good dude, man. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you for watching. Till next.